The latest housing market data report for the month of June is now available, and the numbers might shock you. Coming up on this Silicon Valley Snapshot. If you've been watching basically any media outlet over the last couple of months, we're in June right now, so really the last like 2-3 months, we've been seeing report after report after report that the housing market is down, the housing market's crashing, the housing market's coming down, yada, yada, yada. But here's the thing, that the data that we're seeing right now is actually telling us a different story, and we're going to get into those numbers right now. But before we do that, before we get into the data, if you're a home buyer in today's marketplace and you're trying to figure out, is now the right time for me to buy? And if I do buy, what should I be offering? So if you're looking for a comprehensive data set to assist you in your home buying decision making, you can text the word data plus the neighborhood or the zip code or the area that you're looking in, and we will get that information sent straight to your inbox. And if you're a home seller in today's marketplace and you're trying to figure out, should I sell my property right now? And if I do, what's the right pricing strategy? All of those questions will be answered when you text the word data plus your property address to the number down below. We're not procrastinating today. We're going to get right into the numbers, starting with Santa Clara County. In Santa Clara County, we had 1,090 homes pending versus 803 homes active on the market in the month of May. Now, if you look at what's happening right now, pending versus active inventory, we're starting to see that delta increase, meaning we're starting to see pendings outpace supply. And another trend to pay attention to is the fact that between April to May, we didn't see inventory levels go up at all in Santa Clara County. And that's something that is very important to note, because for the last couple of months now, I have been talking about, and if you've watched previous snapshot videos, you'll know that I have said, let's pay close attention to the inventory levels right now, because the inventory levels are what is driving prices more than anything else. Demand is back. We know that already. And last week, I actually had a team member who wrote an offer on a property with over 70 offers on the home. Tell me that there's no demand in the marketplace, and just a fallacy. The market has adjusted to the interest rates. The market has adjusted. And so the activity from the demand side of things has been fairly consistent over the last few months. What I said we need to pay attention to are the inventory levels. Case in point, look at what happened last April. Last April, we had 1,045 homes on the market, and then we saw 1,300 homes come on the market in May. Now, that is a fairly big increase from April to May, and we typically, traditionally, historically, see an increase from March to April and April to May in terms of inventory levels. And we're not seeing that this year, at least not in Santa Clara County. You couple that with the fact that pending sales are on the rise, that is a recipe for an appreciating market. So it stands to reason, and it makes perfect sense as to why, even though the media is saying that the market is crashing, here in the Bay Area, we are seeing housing remain very strong. We are seeing housing prices continue to climb back up to close to, they're not quite where they were last year, but we are starting to see prices come up close to where they were at this same time last year, right as the interest rates changed. Heading on up to San Mateo County, we had 486 homes active on the market and 410 homes pending. Now, slightly different story in San Mateo County than in Santa Clara County. In Santa Clara County, we're seeing pendings outpace supply. That is a recipe for a white hot market. In San Mateo County, we're seeing slightly tamer conditions. They're not cold by any stretch of the imagination. It's still a very good market with a very healthy absorption rate. Two things that stand out to me here in San Mateo County. The first one is that pending to active inventory ratios are staying fairly consistent from April to May of this year. So what that tells me is that the demand is keeping up with the supply. Now, if you look at last year at the same time, we saw inventory levels rise from April to May from 411 to 534. And so the comparative rise and the comparative increase in inventory levels is much lower this year. And so that tells me that even though inventory levels have risen ever so slightly in San Mateo County, it's still not what we were seeing this time last year in terms of inventory levels rising. So let's continue to pay attention to San Mateo County. It'll be interesting to see what happens over the next couple months in the summer months. If you look at this time last year, June, July, August, we saw an increase in inventory levels. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens this year, and if pending sales keep up with whatever inventory levels do. It'll also be interesting to see what happens with the excess demand that is spilling over from Santa Clara County. A lot of times we see ebb and flow. When buyers get priced out of a certain county, as is happening in Santa Clara County right now, or they just get out competed, there's like 20, 30, 40 offers on a property. They're like, you know what, I'm done with this. I'm going to go up to San Mateo County. Maybe I'll buy something in the peninsula. Maybe I'll go over to the East Bay where the competition's a little bit lower. This could have an effect on the pending or the demand side of things in San Mateo County over the next couple of months if the trends in Santa Clara County continue to stay the way that they're trending. Heading on up to San Francisco, we see 1,062 active listings on the market right now and 432 homes pending. We're seeing stability right now in San Francisco. Inventory levels are rising ever so slightly month over month, and pending activity is staying fairly consistent. If you look at the last 3 months, pending activity in San Francisco has been fairly steady. Should be a good thing. It means that the market is stable. At least there's no volatility in terms of the demand. When you compare that to last year, March, April, May of last year, we saw pending activity come down. Now, there was quite a bit of activity in March, April, May of last year comparatively, but we're not seeing a decline in pending activity like we did at the same time last year. So San Francisco is looking fairly stable headed into the summer months. Heading on over to Contra Costa County, we have 926 homes pending and 780 homes active on the market. We are seeing pendings outpace supply, and that trend has now been going on now for the last 3 months, which if you watch my videos for a long time, you'll know anytime that we can flip that script and pending activity is outpacing supply, that is a recipe for a white hot market. And we have seen that trend continue for 3 straight months. Also worth noting that that gap, that delta between pendings and active inventory over the last 3 months has widened, meaning that the market has gotten more competitive as time has gone on. Now, unlike Santa Clara County, here in Contra Costa County, we are seeing a slight increase in active inventory month over month from April to May. And so let's pay attention, because the story here is not pending activity. That is not the story. The story and the main driver of the market, regardless if we're looking in the East Bay, the South Bay, San Francisco, it is inventory levels, 1,000%. And so we got to continue to pay attention to that and see what happens over the next couple of months. When you compare what's happening right now with inventory levels versus this same time last year in Contra Costa County, we're seeing inventory levels rising a little bit this spring, but last spring we saw a massive increase in inventory levels from April to May. And so what that should tell us is that the market is much more stable right now, and Contra Costa is primed right now to continue to experience a wave of appreciation like we've seen over the last couple of months. And the same story in Contra Costa County is also being played out in Alameda County. We're seeing 823 homes pending, 686 homes active on the market. We're seeing pending outpace supply. Now, this is something that caught my eye and something that we want to continue to pay attention to, is that really for like the last 3 months in Alameda County, we have seen no rise in inventory levels, like nominal from March to April, way less than we would expect to see, because typically we see a pretty big increase in inventory levels from March to April, April to May. This year we have seen practically zero increase from March to April, and then zero increase from April to May, while pending activities continues to climb. And so that is a recipe again for the market to continue to appreciate at a faster than normal pace. Now, we've still got a long ways to go before we reach the peak prices of mid-April, May or so of last year, but these market conditions simply don't feed into what the media is trying to feed you. And that's what I wanted to spend the rest of the conversation talking about, which is, how is it that we're seeing this data, and the data is very clearly in the favor of the market is competitive right now. The housing market is appreciating here in the Bay Area. How is it that the media is saying that the housing market is depreciating? Well, the media is talking about year over year numbers. And right now what we're focused on is month over month, because month over month tells us in real time what's happening. Just like last year when we saw the month over month reports from April to May and May to June, we're like, what's happening? Like, look back last year, we see inventory levels rising dramatically, pending activity falling dramatically, and interest rates being jacked up 1, 2, 3, almost 4%, in the span of like 3 months. And so the month over month data last year showed that the housing market was in trouble. The month over month data this year shows us that the housing market's actually in a pretty good spot. Now, last year at this time, if you looked at the year over year numbers, you'd be like, the market is insane right now. Prices are going bananas. And that's a very reactionary kind of approach, because when you look at year over year statistics, what's that telling you? That's telling you last year's news. What I'm really focused on is, what is the news and what is the market looking like today? And the proof is in the pudding. When you look at what's happening in the market today, here in Santa Clara County, Alameda County, in Contra Costa County, we're seeing very competitive market conditions. In San Mateo County, we're seeing fairly good market conditions. And in San Francisco, we are seeing market conditions that we have been used to seeing now for the last couple of years, which is not so great. Although, and if you've been watching my videos for a long time, you'll know that I've said this, like, there are pockets of San Francisco, and especially like the single family sector, there are still multiple offers happening in San Francisco. So even though the market is like not the greatest in SF, we are still seeing pockets of very high activity, very healthy activity, even in San Francisco. Looking forward into the rest of June, July, August, what we need to be paying attention to, and what you can rely on this channel to do is to bring you the data that's going to show us what is happening to inventory levels. Because really right now, that is the story. If inventory levels stay suppressed, look at this. In Alameda County, for example, I have it pulled up, 686 active on the market this year. Last year at the same time, we had 1,200 homes, nearly 1,200 homes, 1,129 homes on the market. So we are seeing, like a almost 100% increase in inventory levels, maybe like 85% increase in inventory levels, decrease in inventory levels year over year. That is a massive drop in inventory. And so if inventory levels continue to stay suppressed in Alameda County, Contra, Costa, Santa Clara, San Mateo County, then we can expect that to put pressure on housing prices because the housing market is going to be driven by the low inventory level, supply demand. The market is proving to us in real time that interest rates are becoming less and less of a factor. Yes, they are absolutely impacting housing prices. Yes, it's absolutely impacting buyer demand, but it hasn't impacted it to the point where housing continues to be in a suppressed state. We're not seeing the housing market react negatively to interest rates like we saw at this same time last year. What that tells me and what that should tell you is that we have adapted. Humans are an adaptive species. And so yes, at first the interest rates are a shock. We have to readjust. But then after we readjust, there's an adaptation period. And we're currently going through that right now. We're seeing the market adapt to these new standards. We're probably not going to see interest rates come back down to like the 3s or the 4s anytime soon. And so buyers are being forced to adjust to the new normal. And since there's no inventory on the market, there's no other choice but for these buyers to pay a premium for these houses. And I believe that that's going to continue to push prices up over the next couple of months throughout the summer, as long as inventory levels stay roughly where they are right now. So that remains to be seen. We don't know. We can't predict that. But based on the trends that I'm seeing right now, this summer might buck traditional summer trends. Traditionally, summer, we see inventory levels increase here in the Bay Area. This might not be that year. This might be a year where we actually see housing stay fairly low. The inventory levels stay fairly low here in the summertime. And that remains to be seen, but you can guarantee that we will continue to bring you up to the minute housing data. And by the way, if you've made it this far in the video and you are not yet subscribed, what are you waiting for? Click the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, give us a thumbs up while you're at it. It costs you nothing and it helps you get notified every time we post a new video just like this one so that you can stay up to date on what's going on with the Silicon Valley and Bay Area housing market. This is Danny Gould, everyone. I'm selling Silicon Valley and I will catch all of you in the next Silicon Valley Snapshot.